You just made the list!
All right, guys. Don't be scared. You're actually seeing our faces this time. Brad, Mike. So we are going to go over a tier list for what we think are the set two leaders for Shadows of the Galaxy.
Just before pre-release.
Yeah, we're recording this a few days before pre-release. This is sort of our like we've not used all of these heroes so far, but we've either we've seen plenty of games, or we have played them and have a decent opinion about what we think is going to be playable as we move into set 2 meta. And we'll check back in 4 months and see if we punted this or if we got them right. So
well, we'll see how it goes.
All right. So
first one up.
Yeah, our first one. And this is just how I loaded them in the list. So we've got Bo-Katan.
So I don't know how you want to present it. We can either go at the same time, or we can make a decision.
I mean, we can just talk about what we think. I'll let you step up first.
Sure. Honestly, I really like Bo-Katan as a character. Obviously, I mean, she was awesome in The Mandalore. Plus, Katie Sackhoff, great actress. I've enjoyed her stuff. I think she was in Small World or Smallville.
She was in Smallville.
And some of the Riddick.
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah. So great actress. She's big into the sci-fi scene, so that's always great.
Oh yeah, huge nerd.
But personally, I wish her character was a lot better. Both her unit and her leader. I think her unit one is built more towards twin suns than anything else.
You mean the
one where
the units? You're talking about the unit side and the leader side?
No, I was talking about the actual unit. I know we're talking about the leaders, but I was just saying I wish both of them were a little bit better.
I'm kind of a fan of
the unit.
A 3/3 that draws me two cards in aggro. I'll be honest with you.
Well, that's why I said I think it's built more for twin suns. But Bo-Katan, I mean, I like what she does. I like what she can do. I know when I play test her, I thought she would be more of an aggro, and that kind of backfired on me. I do think she'd probably be more mid-rangey now that I've played her.
Yeah, with that ability, unfortunately, I don't really think you can do aggro.
A little bit too slow.
Yeah, it's a little bit too slow, and 1 damage to a unit is not. I won't say it's not enough, but you want to be going to base and then
you want a Sabine.
yeah. I want to go to face or base in this case, but
yeah. And I'll be honest with you, when it comes to the Mandalorians that's present in the set, I personally think that the units are more favored towards the dark side than they are the light side when it comes to the playable characters that's there right now.
Yeah, well, it's either they're either the dark side ones or the neutral ones, but unfortunately that does put the light side versions at a lower power level.
Yeah. So I don't know what you would say. I personally would put her at like a C.
I don't really. Yeah, that's kind of where. Yeah, I think she's average at best. I think. Think given time with maybe more cards, that more Mandalorians, particularly light side Mandalorians, that she would do better. But yeah, I don't really. I can't really give her
a high rating.
Yeah,
maybe in the right shell she might do better.
Yeah, I mean she could end up in lower B at back. Would probably be max.
Okay. I feel comfortable at C personally.
Okay.
You want to start with the next one? Looks like Boba Fett.
Yeah, we've got the light side Boba Fett here.
You wanna open that one up because I don't have a favorable view of this one either.
That's fair. I will start. So, when you play a unit that has one or more keywords, you may exhaust this later. If you do, give a friendly unit +1/+0 for this phase. And he's flips on 6 is a 4/7, same as the same stats as the leader Bava, as the dark side. Each other friendly unit that has one or more keywords gets +1/+0. So just overlooking stat wise, that ability seems like, and you mentioned this to me when we were talking about it earlier, it does seem like a worse version of Krennic.
Yes.
Where Krennic is static across the board.
This one's temporary.
And this is temporary on the leader side, and at least on the unit side, it's permanent. But the other issue, and I don't know if this was explored during testing, I think it would have been better if it gave a bonus equal to the number of keywords the card had.
Yes, I would actually rank it higher if it was a just a +1 per keyword.
Yeah, I mean, because the most keywords we've got on a character right now is 2.
Yes, and there's not a whole lot of them, and they're not very strong, the ones that do have it, for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, and then a lot of them are actually dark side units as well.
Yeah, that I looked over.
Defeats the purpose.
I did look on the light side, and like the light side ones, a lot of them were like raid, which unfortunately trading in is not great. Obviously, with this ability, you would give them a boost, but you're still losing somewhat unfavorable in trades. Granted, I think he's supposed to be some sort of aggro shell, but I haven't found anything that has piqued my interest with this Boba Fett.
I think it could go into maybe like a toolbox shell. I'm not exactly sure where. Me personally, this was one of the few leaders I actually want to put at D tier. I don't know your opinion, but just personally, I think this one's just terrible.
I mean, he is a common leader, and so it very well could be that like Jyn Erso. This may be like I've noticed like in this set there are enough keywords where you might like limited. This guy may be an all-star, but it may be like Jyn where constructed it's just not going to work out.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I will go ahead. We'll go ahead and put him in D tier for now. I don't think I could give him more than a low C at the very least, or at the very highest. Excuse me.
Next one is Bosk. I'm not gonna lie, this is one of those leaders I was actually pretty high up on. I'm excited to see him. The bounty aspect coming in is looking super fun, and watching the Fantasy Flight streams and stuff, watching him being play tested was awesome to me too, and the effects that you saw, like I think his name was Jeremy on the design team was running him red blue.
Yeah, Jeremy's Warren. Yeah, he's
been
with them for quite a while, and Jeremy's probably the most competitive of the designers. He was pretty good at games. Yeah, red blue definitely seems like the correct flavor with the abilities.
Yeah, I feel like with red blue, I mean, you may find different shells, but just looking at red blue, there's enough bounty there to where you're not saturating your deck and sacrificing quality with the bounty mechanic, as to oppose of building a good deck. I think there's enough bounty cards in those red colors to not ruin your deck's quality, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's sort of where my one worry about the way the bounty mechanic is set up is, um,
Oversaturation.
well, yeah, you have to run so many upgrades that give bounty because you can't really rely on your opponent playing the bounty units. Even though I think some of them are going to be very good and playable.
Yes.
Um, and that, I guess that's my major worry is how much do you oversaturate?
Plus, blue has the client.
Yeah,
Now that's where I'm like, okay.
yeah, so I like the idea of a repeatable bounty on a character or leader, which is kind of why I'm a little higher on Jabba the Hutt, because you have a repeatable bounty that I can go, oh, I'll just point at you, go get him.
I actually like the Java, so we'll knock that in too.
Sure, fair. Yeah, but yeah, that's my only worry. Bosk's ability is great. Like if your guy has a bounty, if somebody plays a bounty on him, you can give him a bonus and ping him, which is kind of funny, especially with grit units. And then on his leader side, you get to collect the bounty twice, once per round. So yeah, I mean, getting the right shell, I think, is going to be key. But I definitely think he can be fun.
I mean, I don't want to put him as an S tier. I do think an A would be giving him justice, though.
Okay.
I don't know your opinion.
For the time being, I will go ahead and put him in A. Obviously, he's the first one in the list. He may shift around. I could see a high B. I don't know. And like if somebody gets the right shell, I definitely could see something in that. But like I'm a little more skeptical than Mike is. But I think it's because we obviously both played Magic. We both understand about upgrades, auras, etc. that go away or can be problematic. So.
I mean, I'm willing to put him down to a B for now if we need to.
Okay.
But I do feel like he's going to be a strong leader.
Sure.
But definitely stronger than the last two that we looked at.
Oh, yeah. I could agree with that. All right, next up. This fella is juicy. Cad Bane, who needs no introduction.
Oh, I'm telling you right now, I've been seeing a lot of people actually playing him down a lot. I'm actually surprised that he's not higher up on people's list. I mean, I don't know what you feel about him. Me personally, I think he's another one of those A tier units. I sent you the deck list that I played using the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah.
The amount of... I know it's crazy that I played more Underworld and Bounty Hunters than I did Force units and Grid.
Yeah.
But the people that I played against on Carabas was insane. Like I was triggering stuff. I was pretty much wiping the floor with these people. Yeah,
like Cad Bane, like Cad's ability and the way it is worded. So his leader side, when you play an Underworld card, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, your opponent chooses a unit they control, deal 1 damage to it. So you can set that up where you can strategically take out one of the higher health units. You're in yellow. There's a lot of ambush in yellow. Between that and bounce, you can get rid of the high health units and leave the low health where that's their only choice is to put the damage on it and lose their other character. He flips on 6. He is a raid 2 and he's a 2/8.
And with the basically the same thing. Once he's flipped, you deal, but instead of 1 damage, you deal 2 damage.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to exhaust Cad Bane at that point either.
Yeah, it is limited to once per round on the leader side, but it's still extremely good. And the Underworld cards in this set really make him spicy. Like, there's been a lot of people talking about the Spark Rebellion Boba Fett getting more ridiculous. Well, I think he and Cad Bane are going to fight for best cunning villainy hero of this in those colors.
Ironic because that's exactly what happened in The Mandalore and the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. So, yeah, I definitely also have him in A tier.
Well, I'm glad because I've been seeing people put him down as C and B, and I'm just like, what? Am I missing something?
Yeah, no, I enjoy the character. I enjoy the play patterns.
I really feel like he's going to be competing with Boba as to who's going to be the yellow villainous leader.
Yeah.
Especially in mid-range decks.
Oh yeah. So next up we have Dr. Aphra.
Oh.
Self-mill is an interesting ability. Discard the top card of your deck, and so she flips on 5. She's a 2/5, and if there's 5 or more different costs among cards in your discard pile, she gets +3/+0. Okay, so that would be a 5/5 for 5, which is slightly above the stat numbers, but a 2/5 is deplorable. When deployed, you get to choose 3 cards in your discard pile with different names. If you do, return one of them at random to your hand.
I'm very sad about this card.
Yeah, I think you and the rest of the world are. She's a rare, and I think this.
She's gonna be rarely played.
Yeah. Unfortunately, and I know you're a big fan of Dread. Yeah, Graveyard Shenanigans in your from your Magic days, but what gets me about this is, okay, so the leader side does nothing for you in the first 5 turns of the game. You just mill a card. With the exception of Palpatine's Return, there's nothing. There's the full-on Graveyard Shenanigans. You've got, what is it? You've got that. You've got Bounty Hunter Crew that can recur actions.
And then Kylo's TIE Fighter?
Yes. But the problem is this flips at the beginning of the regroup phase. You're not going to get a chance to play it. It's going to hit in the regroup phase, and then your turn's going to end.
Look, what I'll say about this is I'm hoping that later on they will have more mechanics like Living In or Dredge that you see in Magic, because otherwise this is just a wasted card.
Yeah, and that's kind of sad for such an epic character.
Yeah, I mean, right now, and honestly, if they had fixed it to where it says when deployed or
on attack,
that would have made this card at least a B tier. But because it's just when it's deployed, it's useless to me until they get more Graveyard Shenanigans. I personally, this is one of my other ones that I actually put at D tier.
Yep, I cannot disagree with you, and I'm going to actually put it lower than Daimyo Boba Fett.
But I will say this: I hope that in future that they add more Graveyard Shenanigans to make her playable.
Yes,
and that would be the only way to save her.
I certainly hope that that's the case, because that again, I also like degenerative things when it in regards to Graveyard Shenanigans.
Yeah, I mean, come on, I played Storm, Dredge, Living In, all that kind of stuff in Magic, and that was my bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Graveyard Recursion.
Yep. All right, so next up we have Fennec Shan. She's also a common leader. Action. Pay 1 resource, exhaust. Play a unit that costs 4 less from your hand, paying its cost. Give it ambush for this phase. She flips on 5. She is a 4/4 with Saboteur, and she has an action which says play a unit that costs 4 less from your hand, paying its cost. Give it ambush for this phase. No exhaust or extra cost necessary.
I will say that I actually really like this. Out of all of the all the leaders that was made for this set, I think this is the one that is the most fair, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like a one cost increase to ambush a unit is a it's definitely it's not ECL, but it's still really good, even just paying one additional for it. Now it does mean you have to play it off curve to get it, but to have on demand ambush can be extremely good. I attempted a deck during very early in set one where
the ambush deck.
Yeah, I was like, let's ambush everything. This is Han ambush. You're going to get ambushed to death. Yeah, I think I know that game. Well, you were quite frustrated, even though you ended up winning. But it was annoying.
Yeah, because I couldn't build up like a defensive state because you were wiping so much stuff out.
Yeah,
I mean your stuff was getting killed in the process, but
yeah,
you had your own spot removal with your units.
Yeah, and it felt like it wasn't 50 units, but it felt like 50 units.
Yes, like I said, I feel like this is probably the most fair leader that was made. Like when I mean fair, what I mean is like it is the one that's probably not going to be degenerative by any means, and you kind of equalize the board, and it's not something that you can really abuse if I'm making any sense at all. Like it's just straight up, this is what it does, and it's not like you can just combo it off or anything like that, which makes it to me I'd put her as a low B, simply because she's definitely viable as a leader, but I don't think she's going to be like S tier or A tier. I think you're going to find a lot of like budget decks with her.
Low B, high C is about correct. That's what I would figure. Is like it's a good deck that might be able to take something down. Might take
some surprises.
Yeah, there definitely be some surprises, but it's definitely not meta defining or tier 1-5.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Oh, the one that we actually kind of disagreed on,
which is hilarious. So I'm going to read off Finn. So Finn's ability is he is a vigilance heroic. Action exhaust. Defeat a friendly upgrade on a unit. If you do, give a shield token to that unit. Flips on 5. He is a 4/6. On attack, you may defeat a friendly upgrade on a unit. If you do, give a shield token to that unit.
Yep.
So, this is definitely one that I had much lower on my list. So obviously I don't like blowing up my own upgrades for a shield token. I was like, I don't want to blow up. I usually don't want to blow up an experience token for a shield or just another or crap, or just another upgrade like a lightsaber or something. It's like you don't want it. You seem to be losing value there. So I have it pretty low. I know Rose is in this set, which is actually Rose is going to be very good. She's going to see play in definitely light side decks. Yes. For sure. She's very good. But I'm much lower on Finn than you are.
I mean, I honestly would put Finn probably above Finnick and in between Bosk, me personally. And the reason why is because, on face value, he's not that great. But then when you add him to things like the captain that gives a experience or shield token, I can't remember which one it is, if the unit has Sentinel or it gives it Sentinel. You have that resource as a way to get shield tokens pumped out. Mm-hmm. You have Rose Tico. You have the mentor card. That's the upgrade. you don't have to use the actual upgrade card to bust it. You get the experience tokens with it.
Right.
I mean, there's enough support that I think Finn is actually going to be a pretty annoying mid-range deck.
Okay.
And then like Obi-Wan with the experience tokens or Wing Leader, if you have enough rebels to support kind of a dual deck, because you got resistance and rebels, so there's a little difference there.
It's definitely interesting, but I have certainly not seen, and I guess this may be why I haven't seen that many people play Finn on like I've been, and that's not I will say, neither of us that I'm aware of have sat down and played Finn at all. So this one is purely speculative.
I have not, but I did watch Garbage Rollers. Shout out to you guys. I've watched all his videos, and Finn was absolutely tearing up playtest. It was crazy watching it played.
I will say I must have missed that one for whatever reason. So
look, my opinion was much lower until I saw the playtesting, and it was crazy. I honestly think Finn is going to be a very good mid-range deck. But I personally wanted at B, but if you feel more comfortable at C, I can understand.
I will put him above Bo-Katan at high C for the moment.
Okay.
Let's just say I need to review film because I apparently missed that episode because I'm normally the one. I normally watch the Garbage Rollers as well. So.
Oh yeah, I watched both videos last night that had Finn, and Finn was curb stomping. It was insane.
All right. So we both have high opinions of the vigilance and villainy heroes leaders in this set.
Yes.
So Gar is the one that I'm the highest on. So Gar is his ability leader side is each friendly upgraded unit gets +1/+0. He flips on 6, and each friendly upgraded unit gets +1/+0 and gains. When defeated, you may return an upgrade that was attached to this unit to its owner's hand. He's a 4/7 on the backside. So yeah, I've been high on Guard when we were just playing the Battle for Mandalore early on in our playtesting.
She won.
But I will say just the decks or the deck that I've got laid out, Gar Saxon with Cunning and all the shielded dudes it's going to be annoying as crap to deal with him. So I think he's definitely going to be high. I've got him at A tier. I don't know if he's S tier, and he's also going to be fighting for the blue villainy spots because there's Krennic from set 1, there's Iden from set 1, and then of course we've also got another one to talk about here, and Kira, that's also going to be, we think is also going to be very good. So there's going to be a lot of jockeying for position in those spots.
I'll be honest, he reminds me of Krennic. He seems to be one of those units or one of those leaders that great if you flip him, it doesn't really matter because your main ability that you're wanting is on both sides.
Yeah.
I would put him as an A tier right above Cad Bane. I don't think he's S tier, and I actually, just because of the outline that he is, I don't think he's going to beat out Eden or the other blue villain that we're going to talk about shortly. I do think he is better than Krennic because he is still an Imperial, so he can also fit into the Imperial shells, but he's also, of course, Mandalore. Or Mandalorian, sorry. So I think he's an A tier, but I don't think he's going to beat out Eden because on the control aspect, Eden has probably one of the best leader abilities for control.
Yeah, Eden having the built-in heal is probably the reason that she will remain the best of the blue villainy leaders.
I still think she's better than Krennic personally. Just my personal opinion. I had better results playtesting with her than I did Krennic.
Well, it's like,
And they had both the same shells.
I tried. Early on, and before I settled on Leia being my main competitive deck, I tried Krennic. I could not, for whatever reason. It's like you with Baba. You were doing the same thing with Baba Green, and it just didn't. I guess mentality and play style, it just didn't really fit together. And I think it's the same thing with me and Krennic. But I think Gar, for whatever reason, is what I think what I like about Gar is you also have the ability. It's like your units are shielded. Like the reason I was building mine with units being shielded is because they're harder for my opponents to take out, and then I can still get aggressive with them.
Right.
And that actually, which you can do with Krennic, but the shield is like they can still one-shot you if they want to with those. So
the next one, another one I'm very disappointed in personally.
yeah. So next up is Hondo Onaka.
Great character, but
Yeah.
I was disappointed with this one. I'm not sure if we haven't, gotten enough. I mean, have they spoiled the whole set yet? I'm sure they're close to it. If not.
So I have not looked at the full database, but I know with all the box opening videos that have happened from content creators, I believe all the cards. Well, I think we know all the cards now, which we didn't before. So his ability is when you play a card using Smuggle, you may exhaust Hondo. If you do, give an experience token to a unit. He flips on 6, sees a 3/7, has raid 1, and when you also on the other side, he has the same ability, except for you don't have to exhaust to give an experience token. So on the leader side, you can actually do it multiple times a turn, which that's actually
No, it says you may exhaust this leader.
that's the
Yeah.
you may give when you play a card using Smuggle, you may give an experience token to a unit.
Oh, I thought you were talking about on the other side that you can
Yeah,
use it multiple times.
No, not the front side.
Oh, okay.
The
I misunderstood.
Yeah.
I was about to say, what are you talking about?
No, sorry. No, you can. It's repeatable on the lead on the unit side, which is very good. And as Hondo would say, that's good business. Now, I think the biggest issue is the number of cards that we currently have for Smuggle, particularly Dark Side Smuggle. We have a lot of generics. And we have a lot of light side. We don't have a ton of the dark side, which I think is where the issue lies.
I'm going to argue the fact that he's even a villain. I mean, come on. I mean, he did bad stuff and he did good stuff on there.
Then I guess we'll have to wait to see if they slide him into the gets a hero side.
Because I would highly argue that he should probably be one of the neutral leaders if there ever is one.
Oh, Lord. I don't know if we want to go down that. I don't know if we want to go down that kind of worms, but
I'm just saying. But
he does straddle the line. No, I'm not going to disagree with you.
Chaotic neutral, I would call it.
Okay, yes, I would absolutely file him under chaotic neutral. So, where do you think he fits as far as low C, maybe D?
Yeah. Honestly. He was one of the few that was straddling that line for me between C and D.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm hoping that they may be able to figure something out for him, but in his current form and what's currently available in the meta, I hope he's like Dr. Aphra, where just more cards will bring better value. But I would definitely say very low C, if not D.
I will, for the moment, I will leave him in low C, but he may bump down based on what our other options are. All right, so next up is Hunter.
You sure you want to read the entire thing?
That's a lot of game text. So basically, he lets you return resources from your resource row that share a with name with a unique unit you have in play, and of course it replaces itself. So. With the top card of your deck. So he lets you basically store them similar to, it's not quite smuggle, but he's like, I'm saving this for later.
And it's actually card advantage too.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's making you dig through faster.
Yeah.
Which I do like.
It's definitely an interesting ability. Obviously, we have the problems with uniques. You draw too many uniques. What do you do with them? Well, resourcing them and being able to get them back sounds like a pretty good idea.
Especially with Tech, Omega, Wrecker, and all that being in. I have been playtesting on Carabas, however, they have not situated Hunter into the format yet. Neither have they done Echo or Omega, so I got blown out pretty hard on Carabas simply because I couldn't use my deck's full potential. But I think, surprisingly, I actually think it's a pretty decent, fun deck. I think it's going to be this set's Casino Han, honestly. Especially with like the use of like C3PO and R2D2, to where you can kind of manipulate the top of your deck.
Interesting theory. I will say this: I have had no experience testing Hunter this set. So what are you thinking? Like middle C?
I would definitely put them in C tier. I don't know if you want to do above Bo-Katan simply because, my theory is mostly speculative. But I actually do like it. I do think it's going to be this set's Casino Han, and I think it's going to get a lot better with the Clone Wars coming up in the next set.
Sure.
So I think he has potential to at least be B or A in the upcoming set. Right now, I don't think there's really too much deck manipulation to where you can abuse his ability, which is what I'm really after.
You know what would be interesting is to have some sort like I know Echo gives you is the only thing that really gives you a bonus for having additional copies of unique units, and that's the only one. I guess that would be the first place. I was like, if we had more of that engine to help it, I guess that's probably where I'd look. But I'll definitely put it in middle of C tier for the time being. I don't think he's complete D tier, but yeah, it could be a synergy thing that he needs really.
Like I said, I was playtesting online with using stuff like C3PO and R2D2 and even Ezra, which are all uniques. Mm-hmm. And those are really the only deck manipulations that you have currently that I can think of. Maybe there's more that you can remember, but that's where I am on that.
As far as permanence.
Yes.
All right, next up is Jabba the Hutt, and so he is Command and Villainy, has action, exhaust, choose a unit. For this phase, it gains bounty. The next unit you play this phase costs 1 resource less. He flips on 7 and is a 2/12. That's a big old booty.
He's a big bitch.
When deployed, another friendly unit captures an enemy non-leader unit. And then he has the same ability, exhaust, choose a unit, and gives bounty. So obviously you're higher. You're higher up on Bosk than I am. I think as far as the bounty mechanic and where I think it would shine more is Jabba, because Jabba has I won't say it's not the same ability as Emperor Palpatine, but you get to capture units instead of stealing a unit here. Mm-hmm. But you have a repetitive bounty effect that will turn on all your other units that have connotations that deal with bounties, like Jango Fett and Mosian Hunters and Dengar, punishing one. All of those cards that trigger off having bounties makes it a lot easier to trigger that because you don't have to worry about. You can actually have cards in your deck that trigger on bounties rather than having bounty cards that you have to play first. That you have to draw and play first, and getting a terrible bad hand.
Yeah. I want to be excited about him. The only thing I'm really concerned about is him being too slow. That would be my concern because don't get me wrong, his front side ability is decent. It does help you. The only thing that I'm worried about is what kind of shell he would need to be successful. For Palpatine to be successful, he had to go into blue. And when I'm thinking bounty, when I'm thinking Jabba, I'm thinking more yellow. But so that's where my concern is in order to use him effectively, I would have to go into a different color scheme than what I would want. And I feel like there's better units already there, or better leaders already there for him. So that's my concern, is him being too slow. Though I do love his ability. I really do.
Yeah, see, if I were building him, I would be building it in Jabba. It would be Jabba aggression for me, because
of the bounty hunters.
Because Django's would be a 6/6 with overwhelm swinging in, drawing a card off of that. Then you've got our Wookiee, Karsten. Yeah, you get to play him, and he readies immediately, and then he just loves to take stuff down. Trandoshan Hunters is 6/4 with overwhelm, and when played, if there's a bounty unit, get an experience token to this unit. So he's like a 7/5. It's just insane. So that would be the shell I would be looking at.
I gotcha.
But I do understand, like, there's no, I could see wanting to do it in a different color,
like yellow, because you already have Jabba the unit that allows you to play your actions and stuff at a cheaper rate.
Yeah,
and there is some really good units in yellow.
Yeah,
like you got Unit Boss, you got some of the other bounty hunters.
Dryden.
There is a shell for it. That's just all my thinking. I don't know where you want to put them. I'm kind of thinking either low B or high C. I'd definitely put him above Finn. I'd give you that.
Okay. For the moment, I'm going to put him in low B.
Okay.
He could slide down, like, especially if we're shifting down. If we end up shifting down Hondo to D, I could see we could shift down a little bit more. So for the time being, it's like I think he's a little higher. He's definitely B tier. I think me personally, I would flip him in Bosk, but I think.
Wow, really, that hot?
Yeah, that's my opinion. Obviously, I will say I've not play tested with Jabba yet because he was the last leader spoiled.
Most of these are expected to live, honestly.
Yeah, you guys have seen most of the ones that we've play tested. I have not been able to get on Carabas lately because of real world crap. But
how dare you have a life outside?
I know, I'm telling you, right? All right. Next up is Kylo Ren.
I actually really like this guy too.
He's got some absolute dirtiness about him.
The build that you made was absolutely disgusting. I loved it.
It's definitely pretty dirty, but it still couldn't. By the way, that video should be up.
Yeah, I think it went up last week. Eden Blue versus Kylo.
So that one we recorded last week. It went up this morning. It went up today.
Okay.
So it dropped at 6. So it dropped today. So we're recording this a week behind. You will be when you see this next Monday, it will be. This is from the previous week. That's usually what I try to do for our recordings. But yeah, so Kylo action exhaust, discard a card from hand, give a unit +2/+0 for this phase, and the leader side flips on 4, which is absolutely insane. As a 5/4.
Villainous Sabine.
Yeah, it's a 5/4. But this unit gets -1, -0 for each card in your hand. So you're for him to be at full force, you have to have the hand empty. Well, yeah, I mean, I think the most obvious thing that can be done with him is if you play green, you get Palpatine's Return, and you get to recur all the crazy force units.
Maul, player.
Palpatine, the new the Kylo in this set, and
It
it's just
was absolutely disgusting playing. Hey, when you built that though, Rey hadn't been spoiled yet.
yeah,
So you can actually do it with Rey too.
yeah, technically. Oh gosh,
Yes.
Yeah, I guess I was trying to play that deck like I was with Casino Han, all the 7s, well, all the force units in this case.
It was disgusting to play against. Like if I hadn't been playing something that I'm super comfortable with, I probably would have got Rey.
Yeah, that one definitely came out of left field.
Oh, spoiler.
Well, I mean, they will hopefully if they watch the other video from last week, then
They'll know.
they'll know. But I mean, still, I think the biggest drawback that I have on Kylo is I think if the action side is going to give +2/+0 for this phase, I think it should let me attack with the unit. but then again,
Oh yeah, I did kind of pop that every few times that you tried.
Yes. So this is one of those that might end up working better if you're playing yellow for the shielded dudes, making it harder for your opponents. Like, I don't want to attack in. I'm going to lose my unit because I don't want to pop the shield. But
I love the green shield. Don't change it.
yeah, no. So yeah, I mean he is pretty disgusting. Particularly if you can ramp to 6, where you can go, hi, here's this big unit that just cleared your board.
Too bad he didn't have like Crate Dragon into it. And just
So the thought had crossed my mind,
that would have absolutely wrecked me, no doubt.
but the only problem is if you Palpatine's Return is a 6 cost, and it returns a unit for 6 less. If you target a force unit, it returns it for 8 less. So the Crate Dragon would only be 6 less for it. I would have had to pay the additional
4.
4.
So basically, you're just paying for it.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, that's fair.
That's the major difference.
We need to sneak the keyword force user on Crate Dragon.
I need something that does that FFG stat. So where do you have Kylo after being on the receiving end?
I actually still have him as like a low A. I have him right behind Cad Bane. He could possibly drop into high B, personally. But after seeing the shell that you made, it was pretty disgusting. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think he's one that could sneak up if you're not prepared. But yeah, I don't think he's S tier, but I definitely think he could sneak up on somebody if he ain't paying attention.
No, right now we have not gotten into either of the ones I would consider S tier.
No. All right, next up we have Moff Gideon. So. One of the starter deck leaders. Action exhaust, attack with a unit that costs 3 or less. If it's an attacking unit, it gets +1/+0 for this attack. Leader side, he deploys on 5. He's a 3/6 with Overwhelm. And each friendly unit that costs 3 or less gets +1/+0 and gains Overwhelm while attacking an enemy unit. So obviously he is a cheap. He's basically, I want to stuff all my cheap units in this deck and go wide. My biggest downside with that is Tarkin. You can. So I kind of compare him and Tarkin as sort of the same in the same vein. Tarkin
I
can
think
build.
he's worse.
Yeah, I think Tarkin can build up singular units, which is actually worse against control because control can, you can put so much into a unit and they go power of the dark side. If you don't have enough units on the board, you lose it. This, but Moff Gideon has the opposite effect. It's like, okay, you can go wide, but by the time you get enough units on the board, it's either bombing run or
Any powerful Sentinel and you're screwed.
yeah. I mean,
Because then you're having the 2-for-1 a card. I honestly, I put him below Finn. In between Hunter, below Finn, and I drop Hondo down to D. Because I just don't see him being very good personally.
yeah,
I'm not big on him at all.
He's yeah. I mean, if control ends up being less of the metagame share, I could see him being higher, but I don't see that being possible because control and mid range have been very good.
I mean, with him being an Imperial, unfortunately, I just don't think this Underworld stuff has helped him very much. I just think Tarkin is a better leader overall, and Tarkin's not that great. Personal opinion.
I actually like when I started. Tarkin was actually when I was like Tarkin and Krennic were the two I tried first, and I kind of liked Tarkin, but there are definitely metagames where he's like. And Tarkin certainly is not great. Like, you look at how well he did, and he's not, unfortunately, didn't end up doing very well. So, yeah, I kind of agree. He's C tier at best, for sure.
Yep. I'm not big on him, and honestly, I kind of want to put Hunter above him because I'm not big on Moff Gideon at all.
All right, let's talk about your girl.
Hands down, one of the only 2 S tier leaders, I think, personally. I absolutely loved Kira. I loved her play test. I would change a few things after testing a lot of the new cards with her, but there is some things I would definitely change. Vigilance being one, just letting that out there. Sometimes I make poor life choices and didn't include it. That's just kind of my thing.
But the other problem that we missed was, hey, this affects both of us, not just you.
Yes, I honestly think that would have changed the game so bad.
It would.
RTFC, guys, because I thought this only affected my units, and I did not read the card entirely, and I ended up losing to Green Han.
No, that was
not following.
That was Red Han.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because you use tech. Oh gosh.
By
the way, those blasters are so broken.
Hotshot DLL 44 blasters. Come get some, boys. Yeah, that one.
Though, if I had vigilance and we had triggered this, I probably actually might have turned that game around.
Yes, because you would have been able to kill Han. Like if I swung immediately instead of just taking 4 from when I hit Kira.
Yeah.
I took out Kira. She was a 4/4. She'd taken 4 damage and had 4 power at that point. And instead, we would have traded, and he would have been off the board.
Yeah. So I even though I love Kira's front side, I really do think that Kira is kind of broken either way. I think overall she is a great leader, and I honestly think she may challenge Eden as the blue villainous unit or leader. Just personally.
That's some strong words. Let's bookmark this for later.
Considering I'm a control player and I'm saying absolutely Kira could actually rival Eden. Shielding my Sentinels and having some grit units in there, it gave you a definite hard time.
It was definitely nerve wracking. Yeah, me as the aggro player, definitely like, he falls into control, I fall into aggro. It's sort of the best of both. Sometimes I can play mid range, and obviously
I
Luke.
cannot play.
Well, your Luke fills mid range to control, where, but yeah, I understand. All right. Next up is Ray. She is vigilance, heroism. Her ability is one resource exhaust. Give a unit give an experience token to a unit with Tierlist power. Her unit side, she flips on 6 and is a 2/6. On attack, you may give an experience token to a unit with 2 or less power and has Restore 3.
Which you can target herself.
Yes, the first time you can target herself. But Restore 3 on a leader is kind of nuts.
I think she's awesome. Like, I was not expecting to like her as much as I did. I did play test with her a bit. It did fold against hard control badly. But when I faced other aggro decks, because I kind of built it kind of aggro. I put a lot of low cost or low powered units. I mean, I did add in Luke Skywalker towards the end and stuff like Redemption, to where on the heavy end I can be like, boom.
Yeah. Yeah, but her base Restore, and then anybody else, like Yoda's a 2/4, so you can...
Khalil or Kuil, the one from Mandalore.
I have spoken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Old Nick Nolte.
Yep. So yeah, I definitely could see it. I've heard some of the players and streamers talk about her and where the ability is. I do see where she does kind of fold to hard control.
That was terrible to play against.
I guess the other problem, while you can, your other units are getting shot down, and you can only end up targeting her once with that ability. So she's kind of in that regard, like, she's easier to get rid of than a turret, but I guess you can still... Could you still Voltron her? Or did you even attempt any of that? So
I didn't attempt any of that. So a lot of the times when I played, I was playing to where I would stall my opponent out. Like my goal, especially against aggro decks, was, keep putting out units that are low enough, like the outpost one where it's like a 2/6 with it's a 2/6 with Sentinel. I also did the villagers.
Yeah.
Basically, I played a bunch of the low cost units, and especially ones that had Sentinel or additional.
Would you play in that one?
Actually, yes, I was playing Much to Fun.
That'll. Let's see.
So I mean, but yeah. No, I was playing like
that one. Okay.
Yeah, the Nima outpost.
Constables. Yeah, 2/6 with Sentinel for 4.
Yeah, that's stupid, right?
Yeah, that's got a big backside. That's gonna be hard to deal with for sure.
But yeah, that was my game plan, was play a lot of the low costs and stall, and then towards the end, when it didn't really matter, I was popping down Obi-Wan's. I was popping down Luke Skywalker's, Redemption. At that point, my opponent's already used a whole bunch of his removal for piddly stuff, and then he's like, oh.
It's like, whoops.
Yeah, that's what happened. Like, I mean, Carabas unfortunately doesn't normally go 2 games. You just play your 1 game and then that's it.
Yeah.
So I don't know post-sideboard if this would become a lot weaker deck. But that was basically how I played it, was pretty much stall out my opponent to where, they use a lot of their piddly removal to get rid of annoying units that's not really a threat to winning the game.
Sure.
And then
Mm-hmm.
throw down the big backside, and they're just like, we messed up.
All right, so where do you have Ray falling in the list here?
Honestly, I kind of want to put Ray above Kylo and drop Kylo down, and maybe even drop Jabba down. Maybe, or maybe switch Fennec and Jabba and kind of drop Fennec down. Maybe. That was because that's just my personal. Because she was pretty fun. The win percentage that I had with her was roughly around 50, especially if I was facing aggro.
Okay.
I was able to take a game off of that's a control deck. It's I want to say Vader Green,
Okay. Yeah.
but it was a very difficult one. That was kind of one of those ones to where he used a lot of his like open fires, force throws, stuff that was to kill me off, and then he's like, "Oh God,
Yeah.
he has real things."
Yeah. That would be a problem.
Yeah.
All right. So next up is the Mandalorian Din Djarin from the starter deck. So he is when you his leader size when you play an upgrade, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, exhaust a unit with 4 or less remaining HP. Flips on 6. He's a 4/7, which is pretty average stats for that cost. When you play an upgrade, you may exhaust an enemy unit with 6 or less remaining HP.
I'm not big on the dual deck leaders that they picked this time. I'll be honest. I think Luke and Vader was amazing. I'm not big on either the Mandalorian or Moff Gideon.
Yeah, while I like what the Mandalorian ability is, like I like that type of tempo play. I just don't think that there is enough playable upgrades since it doesn't trigger on upgrade tokens for shields and experience tokens. I don't know if there's enough here that I would feel comfortable being able to build a deck where we could make use of these abilities. Like Snapshot Reflexes is in Cunning. Absolutely, it's a great card. And I guess DLL 44 Blaster is in these colors because if you smuggle it, it's in yellow. It's in Cunning.
I mean, maybe this is the Mandalorian leader that we were kind of overlooking.
Well, it could be that, yeah, this one fits more the Mandalorian light side than does Bo-Katan as far as that goes. I don't know.
I mean, me personally, I'm not big on him. Like, I thought Vader and Luke were great leaders for the first set. I'm really low opinioned on the second leaders that they've picked.
Sure.
Like, don't get me wrong, the characters were great, in as far as the show wise.
Yeah.
But what they've put these leaders for and what they're supposed to do, I'm not big on them.
Yeah, like I said, I have not. This is one that I've wanted to test, but I haven't had a lot of time, especially after we went through, after I started Gar Sax and my brain started kicking in. It's like, ooh, I can do this and I can do this, and then I had the same problem with wanting to play Smuggle and Han, and I'm like, oh wait, this is just dumb, and so I've gotten completely sidetracked and not tested this card yet.
Smuggle Han is just amazing. I'm not gonna lie, that was ridiculous.
And speaking of amazing Hans, we got another one to talk about in a minute. But
yes,
where do you have this one falling? I mean, I think it's a C tier leader also.
yes, I would be okay with it being between Finn and Hunter or even above Finn, but I don't think it's anything special.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I definitely think it's C tier. Maybe there's a deck out there
To pump it up.
and I guess I'm going to have to try something dumb now and dig out the blasters for this one. along with the snapshot reflexes, because I think that can do some dumb stuff. But
Yeah.
all right. Well, speaking of Han,
Well, this one's easy.
yeah, this one's hot. Like this Han Solo is pretty crazy. So as an action, he exhausts. So he's an aggressive, heroic leader. Exhaust. Play a unit from your hand. It costs one less. Deal 2 damage to it. He is he's a flips on 5 is a 3/6. Action. Play a unit from your hand. It costs one less. Deal 2 damage to it. So the ability is the same on both sides, except the hero or the unit side, you don't have to exhaust.
Honestly, just beautiful creatures. If you get that reference, I really hope you do. But absolutely S tier. There is no argument. Easily the best leader in this set.
So it's funny because both.
Oh yeah, Kira and Han. I got you.
So yes, they both out of the same movie. But not only that, if you think about it, both the OG Han, the original Han, and then the young Han, both allow you to play units ahead of schedule for less.
One's a smuggler.
I mean, well, you saw him doing plenty of smuggling in our gameplay. Check out that video for spoilers. But yeah, I mean, so yes, particularly with the early units, if your opponent's going to be attacking them, most of the time they're going to be taking them out on one shot anyway. Mm-hmm. So the extra 2 damage on it is not usually relevant. Mm-hmm. But being able to get them out ahead of schedule, turn after turn, is really good. And then
I'm just thinking, Wild Rancor,
and
because it is not a villainous card; it is a neutral.
No, it's a double aggressive, but yes, it's a beating.
Something like that, dropping that is just disgusting.
And then all of the grit heroes.
Yeah.
All the grit stuff. We've got Wookiees. Han and his Wookiee brigade. Yeah.
I honestly, I think this hands down is easily the best leader of this set, and it's definitely going to find a home in the meta. I don't know what kind of form it'll take, but I'll be highly surprised if it is not the best leader out of this set.
Well, if Leia ends up not being the deck that I play in set 2 because she's not gotten enough tools, I may move over onto her husband Han. So, and I don't know which Han it'll be because Jesus. Both these are good right now. All right, we have left Donald Glover. Young Lando Calrissian for last. He is a cunning, heroic action exhaust. Play a unit with smuggle. It costs 2 less. Defeat a resource you own and control. Flips on 4 is a 2/5. Has the action, play a unit with smuggle. It costs 2 less. Defeat a resource you own and control. Use this ability only once each round. So similar to OG Han, he lets you play cards for less, so old Han lets you ramp so that you can play the cards that you want early, and the young Lando lets you sneak in smuggle units for less, but yeah, you'll replace the smuggle card and then immediately have to defeat a unit or defeat a resource. So that's going to make things difficult. I don't like stone raining myself. At least with Han, the way that was working, you were going up a resource and then going back down one, and
or you stayed the same basically.
Yeah, I mean, so you were 1 turn ahead of schedule, so you were still 2, 3, 4, and so on. Or you would go to on turn 1, you could go to 3 resources, and then you would still be on 3 on turn 2, and so on and so forth. You would get a temporary ramp. This one's a little. I was like, I don't know. This one's a lot more difficult to swallow for whatever reason.
I'm just gonna tell you, this was the third leader I had at D tier.
Mm.
Between the new Boba and Dr. Aphra, this
Mm.
was the third leader I had at D tier.
That definitely tracks. Like I said, I have not. This is not another one that I have played. Where would you?
I put it under Hondo. I mean, at the highest, but I'm sorry. I don't like the idea of destroying my resources just to ramp up. Like, I get it with Han, and I was more accepting with Han because, again, you do additional ramp, you don't set yourself back a turn.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what you're doing with Lando.
Yeah.
Because if you're using that ability every turn, you're never going ahead on resources. You're never getting more resources than your opponent. Because you're replacing your smuggle, yes, but then you're immediately taking that resource away. So if I have 5, I play a smuggle card, I get the 5th one, but then I'll go back down to 4. To me, that is not worth it in any game sense, unless you're trying to play for a late game control, and I just don't see there's enough for him to be able to do that.
For that to work, I need like a 5-cost card that says return all units from your discard pile to play. That would be kind of crazy. All right, guys. Well, that's our tier list. Let us know down in the comments whether you agree, disagree. If you disagree, list where you think a leader where you think it should go rather than the spot that we have it in.
I mean, are you good with this list? I mean,
yeah, like I like these 2 and these 3. I'm absolutely on board with, and all of C and D. I definitely agree with.
maybe some wiggle room in the B tier.
There might be some wiggle room there in the B tier, but it's. I guess I need to play more of these, but yeah, the top 5, the S and A tier are absolutely for certain.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'm good with it if you're good with it.
All right, guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos.
All right. Have a good.